But Uku, I don't want to go to the doctors. I don't care if it's important for me to go to the doctors or not. I don't want to go, and you can't make me. I'm sorry, what? If I behave and go, I get a what? Well, guys, I'm back from the doctor. And, it wasn't all that bad. Well, at least after we got past the part where I had to be chased through the hallways, restrained, and then stabbed with a needle. I don't care what he said. He was about to stab me with a needle. What'd you expect me to do? Just sit here and let me do that? Anyways. My trip there, in addition to affording me a certain sweet delicacy, I also got a couple of new ideas for video. I wanted to go over stuff that I think it's very important for people to either know or at least be reminded of. So let's start off the list. First of all, Advil, Tylenol, those kinds of things. This is very important. Very, very important. These things make you feel better. They do not inherently cure the problem. Now, granted, it is true that some certain injuries can be somewhat helped on the account of the fact that some of these medicines have anti-inflammatory responses, and if you're swelling up too much, that can very much help. But the important thing here is that it does not cure any fever or bacterial infection you have. Okay, so if you or your kid are sick and they're given Advil or Tylenol or whatever, and that makes them feel better, that's good, but that does not mean that they're ready to go into school or work or wherever. You're still sick. You just don't feel the symptoms as much. Even if not at all, they're probably still sick. Especially when you send them, they're probably going to have the symptoms again like 4 or 5 hours into it, depending on how long whatever medicine you use on them lasts. But whatever the case, point is that it does not heal sickness. And to that point, it does not heal injury either. Again, it might help accelerate it a little bit, depending on how inflamed you are and how much you want to decrease the inflammation that you have at the injury. But it does not heal you. So, if you, say, injured your knee, and you took some Advil or whatever to decrease the inflammation and pain, which is, let's be honest, that's probably why you took it, to decrease the pain, the injury is still there. It still takes time to heal. Do not go and, do 3,000-pound squats like Uku can. Okay? Let your leg heal. Just because you don't feel it after taking Advil doesn't mean it's healed, just means you don't feel the pain anymore. So just keep that in mind when taking any kind of these medicines. It's part of the reason why I'm not a huge fan of taking them myself. I generally only take them when it gets really, really, really bad. But even if you do take them just to take the edge off of something that's even still manageable, just keep that in mind. Because part of the reason we have pain and discomfort is to let us know something's wrong. And when we don't have that, we just need to be cognizant of the fact that something's still wrong. Next one. Don't stop taking antibiotics or any medicine for that matter if you start feeling better. If the doctor tells you to finish the bottle, even if you start feeling better, continue to finish the bottle. Because just because something's been killed off to the point where it doesn't affect your body to a noticeable level does not mean it's still not there. You need to kill it off completely, whether it be bacteria, viruses, what have you, until you're able to completely recover. If you stop taking it and it survives that cycle of antibacterials, not only can it repopulate and make you sick again, but on top of that, because you've taken antibiotics, that particular bacteria might have a harder time being killed by those biotics, which means you need to take stronger antibiotics, which, believe me, you do not want to do if you can avoid it. If you can avoid it, if you end up taking antibiotics that are too strong, then it will kill the good bacteria in your body. Most importantly, or maybe not most importantly, most noticeably, the bacteria in your gut, which will most likely lead to explosive diarrhea. Okay, maybe not explosive diarrhea, but trust me, don't ask me how I know this, but some pretty severe diarrhea, and it's not something you want to go through. Obviously, in comparison to a very lethal bacteria, that's preferable. But if you can avoid it, trust me, you want to. So, again, if the doctor tells you to finish out the bottle, finish out the bottle. Okay? Okay. Now, this next one, I'm not gonna lie, I did not believe it at first. I really didn't think it was real, but I looked it up, and yeah, you're not supposed to eat citrus fruit while you're taking medicine. I know, right? This is very counterintuitive. But yeah, you're not supposed to do it because apparently a chemical found in most citrus fruits tends to deactivate a lot of the properties of a lot of medicines. Now, obviously, it depends on what medicine you're taking, so your best option is obviously to ask the doctor prescribing the medicine to you. But in general, yeah, don't eat citrus fruits, oranges, stuff like that. Next one. Keep accurate medical history. If for no other reason, it will make your life a heck of a lot easier. Because look, systems don't always synchronize, systems don't always update, and even if all that goes right, then either the doctor or the nurse or whoever, I'm honestly not sure who looks this information up, but whoever looks it up will have to go away and take the time to find you in the system. And granted, it's technology, it's a lot faster than trying to go through like files and files and files, but at the same time, if you've ever used any technology ever, you know that no matter how technologically savvy you are, somehow something always goes wrong. It's just the rule of the universe. I don't understand why. It seems like technology just kind of hates us sometimes, but for whatever reason, that's probably going to happen. And it's just a lot easier if you can hand him or her a piece of paper or just tell him what medicines you've been on and what injuries you've had and what conditions you had in the past. It makes the whole system go a lot faster. And also, if you keep it readily available in the event of an emergency where you are unconscious or incapable of answering for whatever reason, they will have a record of your medical history, which, believe me, can be a lifesaver. So, yeah, overall, probably keep a record of your medical history somewhere easily accessible in the event of emergency, or if for nothing else, it will just generally make your life a lot easier. And honestly, the lives of the doctors and the nurses and anybody else who has to work with you. Now, this next one, I am admittedly hesitant to mention because I don't know how well the algorithm is going to take it. Granted, it usually doesn't notice me to begin with, but you know, whenever certain topics are brought up, regardless of how important they are, YouTube seems to really hate that. But despite that, it is a very, very important thing I mention. This is specifically for the females. We all know that there's a certain period of the month that every female has to go through for a very large portion of their lives. If you experience pains that are unusual or beyond what you're normally used to feeling, please go see a doctor. There is a surprisingly large amount of medical problems that go undetected because pains that are greater or unusual than what women are usually experiencing are chalked up to that point in the month. So, yeah, granted, we all know that pains are normal for this period of the month. That is true. But if they're unusual or just overall more painful than they're normally supposed to be, then there could be something very wrong with you. In which case, please go see a doctor. Now, if the doctor gives you a prognosis that you're not completely confident in, that's fine. I made a whole video showing and explaining why we need to encourage the idea of getting a second opinion, right? I'll leave it down in the description below. But point is, if you feel like a second opinion is necessary. There's nothing wrong with that. Go get a second opinion, okay? It's very important that you do that. On the flip side, and I'll only go over this briefly because I'm probably going to make a longer video about this at some point in the future. I don't know when. But briefly, if you stop having those periods every month, and it's not for the obvious reasons, which of course is pregnancy, then definitely go to the doctors. There is most definitely something wrong with you. And more than likely, it means that your bones are about to break at any second.